we have to talk about Venezuela, okay? I'm getting hit hard by the right and by the left in the United States for my comments on Venezuela. The right is hammering me on Venezuela, saying I am being hypocritical in not supporting socialism in Venezuela while supporting socialism in the United States, okay, which I reject completely. The left, and I'm more interested here in the criticism from the left is criticizing me, saying that my opposition to the Chavez-Maduro regime is completely in line with and identical to right-wing, neoconservative American opposition to the Chavez-Maduro regime and attempts from groups like Cato and Canvas and others to foment an anti-socialist revolution in Venezuela. This is total nonsense, okay? I know I'm going to keep getting these emails. I know some of you won't like these comments, but this is absolutely non-productive nonsense. If you can't criticize administrations that are closer to what you agree with or might advocate for because they are not exactly what you like. If we can't be critical of even administrations we might approve of in some sense, we're never going to get very far, because the second you have anything but the worst choice in office, apparently you can't criticize them anymore. And liberal activists, I actually encourage you to take a look at, there's a liberal Panamanian actor and activist named Ruben Blades, who is known in the US as Ruben Blades. He's been in some English language films. He has written a couple of letters now, one including one directly addressed to Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. And as he says, as Ruben Blades says, if he criticizes someone that is considered to be a liberal, he's a CIA, Cato, American right-wing imperialist. If he criticizes the right-wing forces, he's a communist. And if he criticizes the military, whether it's a left-wing instance of active military usage domestically like in Venezuela or not, then he is subversive. I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. The Venezuelan opposition overall is not a right-wing fascist opposition. There are right-wing elements. There is absolutely no question. There is no question that there are American neoconservative interests that want to see Maduro out. That doesn't mean that the opposition isn't made up of students, laborers, members of all aspects of society. I don't deny that in general, liberal governments with well-funded social services create more overall well-being than right-wing governments. I'm at a fundamental disagreement with the American neoconservatives that want revolution in Venezuela on that issue. It's been the theme of this program for 7 years that I support governments like that. But to pretend that all so-called liberal governments are the same, and that if you are ostensibly liberal, you should support all of them equally, is ludicrous, and it is anti-thinking, Louis.
It is. I mean, if we set an example in this country, I mean, just like we make fun of the people who accepted everything Bush and Reagan did without batting an eye and think that they're the greatest things ever, those people probably look at what we would call Obamatons and say that those people are idiots for just accepting everything Obama does without even thinking about it and thinking he's the best. On either side, I mean, it's just completely absurd. If you're not finding any faults or anything wrong with any of these administrations, you're just not paying attention.
Real social welfare should provide better quality of life for all at the long term. And to me, poverty reduction via oil subsidies doesn't make for a self-realized population. We can say certain things in Venezuela are good, and we can say certain things are bad, but to say that anyone from the U.S., like me, even originally from Argentina, but commenting on U.S. media, who opposes the Maduro regime or would be part of an opposition to some extent, is the same as the Cato Institute, is just absolutely farcical. These are my thoughts. These are not the thoughts of right-wing think tanks and the neoconservative Americans. The whole situation here is you're either with Maduro or you're against him. And if you're against him, you're for right-wing American imperialism. This is bogus. And it's not about being against so-called left-wing governments. Look at Uruguay. Uruguay is, like Venezuela, ostensibly on paper a capitalist country with strong social welfare programs and what the right likes to call socialism, although it really isn't. And it's a completely different situation. And why is that? It's because it is not a strongman government the way that the Chavez and Maduro regimes are. We have President Jose Mujica, one of the, I would say, one of the most progressive and forward-thinking leaders in the world right now in South America. We are huge advocates of what is going on there. And to say that we can't draw distinctions between Uruguay and Venezuela and still not be right wingers is completely bogus. And I know I'll keep getting emails from liberals criticizing me.
Yeah, you will. That's just the nature of what we do, I guess.